Hello, welcome to Living Abroad and Loving It. This is Linda. I'm recording this video for you so that you can have something to accompany the video that I give about cross cultural adjustments. This lesson or this offering right now is about how to survive and flourish in another culture by asking the questions that matter. Because if you ask the questions that matter and you get the answers, it'll make a difference. So, first of all, what changes the moment you cross international borders? Everything changes. It's like you've landed on another planet. It's complete disorientation. Nobody speaks your language. All of the rules are different, or most of them are different. It isn't something, most of the things are not the same as where you just came from. Well, where are you considering moving to? You going to go to Panama Beach, maybe? Panama? Spanish and English spoken there. Tirana, Albania. They speak Albanian and English. Rio de Janeiro Beach. They speak Portuguese. Thailand. They only speak Thai, though you will find some people that speak English, but not a lot. So, you don't plan to learn the language? How will you communicate? At the store, to catch a taxi, at the hospital, medications, where it hurts, prices, social settings, conversations, neighbors. Just asking a simple question can become a major issue. Yep. Making yourself understood, you need to remember that only about 13% of the world speaks the English language. That's not very many when you consider how many billions of people live on this earth. Around the world in English, who speaks it? Well, in Thailand, 27% of the population speaks it. That's a pretty good amount. 12% in Mexico, which I actually thought was higher. 14% in Panama. That's higher than I thought it would be too. And Albania, 57.6%. Wow. And poor old Brazil. I teach so many students from Brazil, and only 5% of the people speak English, and it was 4% in 1979. So it hasn't gone up much, and that's a real shame. I got this information from the wikipedia.org. As you can see at the bottom, I put the link in, and you can look that up. The list of countries by English speaking population. It's an interesting section of Wikipedia. Anyway, Argentina, only 6.5% speak it. Lots of people are wanting to relocate to Argentina because the prices are so cheap. It's not cheap for the Argentines who make their money in the Argentine peso, but it's cheaper for people from the United States who make their money in dollars. Naturally, that's what you'll find pretty much anywhere you go, is that the dollar, if you continue to earn in the dollar, then you're going to be able to live in another country more easily. I won't say easily because everything is shifting everywhere. Portugal has, I consider, a high number, 27%. Costa Rica, only 8.2% speak English, but Belize is 81.6%. Now, granted, Belize is an English speaking country, but still, that's higher than the United States. Did you know the United States only has a 78% fluency rate in English? How about that? And Ecuador, just 7.1%. So that's just some of the main countries that people from the United States are wanting to move to. There wasn't room to put everything. I had pages and pages, but you can look it up in this Wikipedia list of countries. Yeah. So if you don't speak the language, seeing how few people speak it around the world, if you don't speak their language, how will you handle your own culture shock? It can be very lonely because you don't have anybody, especially if you have moved as a single person to another country? Where do you go? Who do you go with? Where are the safe places to wander? How do you find out all that stuff? Yeah. And how do you find what you want when you don't know the words? Simple things like cotton balls. Took me forever to find the name in Spanish. In fact, I'm not sure I can remember it now. But a lot of things you can walk up, point, and say, quiero, quiero. But it's very strange because you don't know the name of anything, really. And the words in Spanish and Portuguese are much different than the words in English for a lot of things. There are a lot of similarities between English and these languages, too. Americans always say they can't learn a language, and then they really don't realize half of the words in Spanish and Portuguese match the words in English with just a little tiny change. Things like university, universidad. You just have to think about how you will hear the word, and pause and let your brain function to find that universidad or universidade is university. University. Anyway, how do you find what you want when you don't know the words? Well, the biggest main adaptation strategy is to learn some of the language. After deciding where you want to go, commit to learning the basics, a B1 level of the target local language. It isn't the lowest level. A is the lowest level where you don't really speak anything at all, right? And A2 is just a little bit higher than that. You can say hello, how are you? But if you go to B1, you will actually learn some vocabulary that lets you be able to function at the grocery store and the gas station, and some even at a hospital. Now, in the hospitals, most of the time, a doctor somewhere in that hospital speaks English. It's very rare that you find any place that there's not a doctor that speaks English on the staff of a hospital, a major hospital in your town or your city. Acquiring basic language skills significantly helps you in your cultural adaptation because you can communicate. It helps in understanding the nuances of what people are saying, you know. It enables you to engage more readily with the local customs and practices. Instead of just standing there and not understanding anything that's going on, you can begin to ask a few questions. What is this? Why are they doing it this way? What does this mean? Even a rudimentary command of the language can bridge cultural gaps and forge connections with the native speakers. Because the native speakers are often people who they have their doctorates, they have their master's degrees, they've gone on to study more, and they'll be trying to talk to you and in English too, but a little bit for sure. I highly recommend Q Paul on YouTube. I put it down here. I don't have his link, but I'll get that. Q Paul on YouTube if you're going to a Spanish speaking country in Latin America. He is a superb Spanish teacher and he's totally fluent and he's fun. He's kind of quirky and I love it. I've been more or less I'm very irregular, but his videos are very clear. And if you practice and practice, he also has a program that you can join, and then you can have regular lessons starting at the beginning of what he offers, and then you can get very high with him if you want to. Okay, so that's the single most important strategy for adapting in a cross cultural situation is to learn a B1 level of the language. Okay? No skipping that. How will you handle your children's culture shock? Now we're going to ask a few questions. I want you to consider these things, okay? Luckily for most of us, my kids were little when we went to Brazil too. Kids will mostly be fine. Isn't that wonderful? They go to school, they cry a couple of days, and the next time they go, they point. They figure out that if they point at something, the other child says something and they repeat it. You know how they are? Kids just great. They learn so quick. My kids were speaking Portuguese. We went to a school when we were in Brazil. We went for 10 months to a school, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. The kids were woman who came like a nanny and a housekeeper, and they were with her, and by the sooner than us, they were speaking. So Jonathan went to a school, a little school, and then Christopher followed up on him with going to a totally Brazilian school, and nobody spoke English. But you know what? They were speaking Portuguese very quickly, and I don't remember them even having culture shock because we told them you get to go to a little school. It's going to be so neat. You won't understand them at first, but that's okay. You'll get it, and they did. Most of the time, our little children follow our emotional reactions. So if we can keep a control of ourselves, our children, little children, won't have much trouble. Now, you might have teenagers. That will be a different story. They may have a really difficult time. But the funny thing is because all the high schools teach some English, the other kids are going to want to practice their English with your kids. So it's not so terrible. But there are some other questions that you need to ask, and only you can answer them. And they are, how do you prepare your own self for moving to another culture? What do you think culture shock is? Do you really know? Have you ever experienced anything like culture shock? What is the social structure of the country? Is it man centered? Who runs the family in the country you're going to? What is the political system? Can you live with it? Is it a democracy, a theocracy, an oligarchy, a dictatorship? What kind of government is it? Is it one that you will feel comfortable to live under? hmm And is it family centered? What does family centered mean in the country you're going to? It certainly turned out to be different here in Uruguay than it was even in Brazil. And it certainly is different than in the States these days. So these are questions that you can ask yourself, and you can watch my videos on YouTube because I'm answering these questions each time I upload a video. It's about one of these subjects, okay? But in much more detail with very, I hope, practical suggestions for being able to face them, overcome them, understand them, and do something about them. You can enjoy information about living abroad and loving it on my YouTube channel by the same name. And the topics on the channel may include cross-cultural adjustment, finding a job, finding a place to live, what to look for if you're looking for a place to live. Believe me, you need to know what pressures and concerns you may experience in your personal relationships with your spouse, your husband, wife, partner, children, or friends, just to name a few. I'm the Reverend Dr. Linda L. Wilson, and I'm available for a limited number of personal interactive sessions each week where you can share exactly what you need or want to know for your possible move abroad. And you can contact me at relationshipsalivecontact@gmail.com. I'm just using a Gmail address for now. It's a brand new email address, so it's got plenty of room for a long time to come. And Gmail's easy. It's easy for people to remember as well. So I look forward to hearing from you, hopefully. And I'm also looking forward to welcoming you to my YouTube video channel um, to hear lots of important information on all different kinds of things. Okay? So thank you for stopping by and thank you for taking the time to get to the end of this video.